Hi everyone, this is Ramanuj from LawSikho. Let's welcome Willy Carvajal. And today we have our guest Willy, who's from Latin America. He's a lawyer from Latin America. He's in India for a bit, and he is doing a course on entrepreneurship here. And I thought we'll take this opportunity to learn from him about opportunities in the Latin America and business opportunities, investment opportunities, and of course opportunities for lawyers, right? So let's learn from Willy. Willy, very welcome. Hi,
Let
Willy.
me. How are you? Let me 616.
Great, great. Yeah, I'm doing good.
Okay.
How are you doing?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, you are audible. Yeah,
Perfect. Well, thank you for the invitation, and I'm very honored to be with you right now.
yeah, great. That's great. So, Willy, why don't you start by telling us a bit about your journey as a lawyer and what are you doing currently?
Sure. Well, I got my Juris Doctor's degree from the University of Costa Rica, and that was in 2012. And by 2 years later, I did my first master's degree in University of Chile and Washington College of Law in the United States for 1 year. I did my master's in international contracts and business law,
Mm-hmm.
and then I did my second master's degree in 2018 in the University of Tel Aviv in Israel, and I focus in law and technology, basically a startup law.
Right.
And yeah, so and also I've been doing some training programs in the Renmin University of China and now here in Noida. So that's from the academic background, and also from the more training and job perspective. I was the director of the Financial Consumer Protection Office in Costa Rica for 2 years and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And also I've been working for a law firm, this law firm LATAM, which is a regional law firm in Central America,
Yeah.
and we do businesses in American countries,
Hmm.
and I've been close to them for almost 10 years. I started with them in 2010 in different jobs, and now I'm heading the law and technology department. So basically focusing right now on providing legal advice to startups and Latin American startups and also to investors. So that's why I'm here.
Okay, great. So if you can tell us a bit about the Latin American legal system. I believe you are practicing in Costa Rica. Is that correct? So do you work in one country or multiple countries? How does it work?
Yeah, basically my law firm, we are established in 5 different countries: Panama, Costa Rica, Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, and Nicaragua, actually 6 countries. And also we do a lot of trade and international contracts with different law firms among Latin America. So we work close to Mexico, Argentina, Chile, Brazil, Ecuador, Peru, and Colombia as well. So basically we cover we perform on different transactions among the region, and also of course with the United States. Some of our clients are US based companies. So of course, we provide legal advisor to the establishment in Latin America and the United States. Now we are currently looking forward to start a relationship with the Indian startups and investors, and I think there is a great opportunity to meet each other well and to start doing business together.
Right. So if you can tell a bit about what you are doing in Noida and the course you're doing, what is it about?
Sure. So there is a class here in the Niswood Institute, which is the National Institute for Small and Medium-Sized Businesses. So they have a training program of about 2 months. The idea is to become trainer or promoter of entrepreneurs. So
Mm-hmm.
they are to provide us legal and financial and businesses tips and advisors in general in order to that we can provide um, training to different entrepreneurs in different fields such as technology and other also fields related. So the idea is to promote entrepreneurship among the population. So this is a really very interesting program, about 2 months with people from, we're about 33 different countries. So it's really people from everywhere. Um, and also it's a really great opportunity for us to meet the ecosystem here in Noida, in New Delhi as well.
Hmm.
So yeah, this is, so far it's been a great chance to be here.
Great. Can you tell us a bit about the Latin American legal system? How does it work? Is it a civil law system or common law system? What is it really like? What's the
Sure. Well, also I have a presentation, but maybe we can stop at that, and then we can
yeah,
check the
yeah, sure,
presentation.
sure. So what you can do is you can start the presentation on your computer, and
Perfect.
and then you can share the screen. So you have a share button below, so you can run the presentation.
Perfect. So let me see. I can share screen. So let me see if everyone can follow me.
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
everyone
yeah.
able to see?
Yes, yes.
All right. So I named this presentation "Legal Opportunities for Entrepreneurs and Investors in Latin America," and now we would like to cover. Sorry, this is a small presentation about the law firm which I represent, LATAM Next. This
Mm-hmm.
is a regional law firm, as I mentioned before. We have more than 45 years of experience in the market, in Latin American market. We're over 100 lawyers in total. And mainly what we have been focusing in providing legal advice to financial and banking institutions. And since also considering that the economy is moving towards new kinds of investors, such as seed investment, angel investment, VC, venture capital, corporate venture capital as well. So we are now providing this kind of legal advice to different financial institutions as well. And as I said before, we have Latin American scope with different regional agreements. So what I would like to cover tonight are those 5 topics. The first one is to have a brief overall political, economical situation in Latin America. So before, when I was doing this presentation, I thought of how I can contribute to the community here in India, to provide from the legal, from the Latin American perspective, an idea how we see ourselves, which is not, of course, is not the same as looking news in Google, but it's important to receive this input from someone from Latin America, and I would like to share that with you. And then I would like to cover how is the startup environment in Latin America, some investments opportunities over there. And then I will focus more in the law perspective. So I will cover some legal vehicles that we can use to make investments or to work together to Latin American startups. And finally, some conclusions. So
Right.
let me start about this topic, which I call the political and economical background
Yeah.
in Latin America. Um,
Hmm.
so as you might be aware, these are tough times for Latin American countries, especially in South America. There's been a lot of social disagreements lately in different countries, and from the political perspective, it has been very interesting moving forwards the left to right wing and right wing to left. So it's been a lot of changes lately. And such is the case of Venezuela. As you might be aware, they are facing an internal crisis, which is impacting not only the country itself, but all the neighboring countries. So there is a huge movement of people from Venezuela to Colombia, to Chile, to Argentina, among also Central American countries, which this is having also a huge impact over politics and the economic perspective of these countries.
Hmm.
Also in Colombia, they are facing a peace agreement. Finally, after 60 years of war, internal civil war, they finally made a peace agreement, and this is providing a huge investment opportunity. So now a lot of companies are looking to this market, which is about 50 million people. So it's a very interesting country. And we believe the peace will also provide investment opportunities in Colombia. And then I will cover also from the startup perspective. In the case of Chile, Chile is probably the most well-established economy in Latin America. And their economics numbers have been really outstanding in the last 20, 30 years. However, this year, by the end of last year and this year as well, they have facing a social crisis. I'm pretty sure you heard about the news about this situation going on. So this is keeping away some investors, and they are looking for new markets in order to invest because of this political situation right now going on in Chile.
Okay.
In the case of Argentina, Argentina is also a very important market and has been traditionally so for Indian market as well. But right now they are also facing a transitional government. They switched last December from a right-wing government to a left-wing party. So we're not quite sure exactly how this is going to work. And also one of the first policies that the new government implemented in Argentina is to impose a 30% tax on the U.S. currency.
Okay.
So all the buyers that the investors or companies are making of amount of US dollars, they have to face this 30% tax, which of course is a huge amount of money, and this is also affecting the investments opportunities over there. In the case of Brazil, also they are facing a right-wing government, which is changing the political landscape over there. And but some people argue that this new government is also new opportunities of investments, and we can see the number that this can be reality. In the case of Peru as well, they currently face a political situation over there, and they are trying to recover their economy. And then we have the Central America and Latin and Caribbean countries, such as El Salvador, which is also a good political environment right now. They are creating more political solution to problems. So this economy is a very well established democracy and economy as well. So it is also really good economy to invest. And Guatemala is also investing a lot of policies and creating a new opportunities to invest.
Willy, are you there? I can't hear you. Willy, are you there? Willy, you have become. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, continue. Now we can hear you. Yes.
Okay, perfect. And finally, also Dominican Republic is also a country who is investing a lot of opportunities in entrepreneurship. And finally, Mexico. Mexico is also a very important market for LATAM, and
maybe you can bring
and they are
the.
also promoting in different states. Sorry.
Yeah, Willy, you can share the screen again because you've lost the screen sharing has stopped now.
Okay, let me see if I can switch.
Yeah.
And also, there's a lot of sound going on right now. I don't know if you can also hear it.
Yeah, we can hear you, but just share the screen again. Hello.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I stopped sharing my screen.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And so there's regarding the startup environment. So there is, I would say, like a general overview. We're having a market, which means a growing among Latin American countries in order to make relationships and establish companies between themselves. So in general, I would say that Latin American companies, startups are looking forward to establish their companies in one region. I mean, this in Latin American region. They don't look that much into markets such as the United States, Europe, or maybe Asia. So they look into the similarities that they face as Latin American speaking countries. So language, culture, and economies, political background are sometimes very similar. So that facilitates the market. Also, I will add that we are facing an informality, such as there is some countries such as Colombia, we have a 50% of economy which is informal. That's the case for Mexico. So this is generating a lot of problems for the economy itself to grow. regarding the startup environment and the level of maturity, I will define it as a transitional. So a lot of different countries in Latin America, especially the top five, I would say Brazil, Mexico, Argentina, Chile, um, Colombia, Guatemala, Costa Rica. They are promoting a lot of different policies in order to basically to promote the
Willie,
startup
Willie,
environment. They're
Willie,
creating
I'll have to stop
incubator
you.
centers. Yeah.
Willie, we cannot actually properly hear you because there's a lot of like I think your internet is not fully working.
Yeah, I apologize for that.
Yeah. So and also you haven't shared your screen anymore. I was hoping you can share the screen maybe.
Yeah. Is it better now?
No, it's not. The screen is not shared. Okay.
What about now?
Yeah, it's
Okay,
working.
perfect. Perfect. I apologize. I'm staying here at the hotel, so it really fully depend on that, and I
Yeah.
apologize for the
No,
problems.
no problem. Yeah, please proceed.
So okay, so as I was saying, I will suggest that the Latin American countries in general, we are facing a transitional period regarding to startups. So now I would say all countries in Latin America, they are promoting different policies in order to attract startups and the creation of ecosystems in general. So I would say there are different policies related to tax benefits, to immigration services, um, and also loans from the government, grants in general. So I would say this is a moment where a lot of people are, there are different founders who are trying to reach their companies, but the problem is that they are lacking of financial resources. So this is mainly one of the problems that we're facing right now. So there are a lot of opportunities, I would say also in Argentina, a lot of different solutions to different problems in general, but we're facing a lack of funding in Latin America. And also as a transitional period that we're facing, we need more help from different governments to promote the ecosystem. Regarding the venture capital, it has been increasing double each year, 2000 since 2016 to 2019. So every year it's growing double numbers, which means that investors from all over the world are investing in startups in Latin America, especially in Brazil and also Mexico. And if we look at the numbers, we see that at least 87% has been of total investment has been made in the form of co-investment. This means a Latin American investor together with an Asian investor, together with a US investor of a European investor. So this means the investors from the outside, they prefer to co-invest with a Latin American investor in general when they're reaching startups over there here. And 60 this investment has been made in 2019. More
Willie, it's
levels
just
from
stopped
Latin
working again.
American levels.
Hi Willie. Willie, I need to stop. Hello. Willie, we can you
Sure.
switch off your video? Maybe it will work better. Maybe if I only have audio, then maybe we'll be able to hear you because currently we can.
Okay.
The voice is freezing and we can't hear you at all.
That
So
will help.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Continue, please. Just switch off the video and continue with the audio alone.
I can hear you well. What about you?
Yeah, we there's a lag. There's a bit of problem with the internet, but now at least we can hear you somewhat. So please continue. Yes.
Okay, so in general, regarding the legal background, there is a lack of regulation in the countries. There is only Mexico, for instance, they issued in 2018 law regarding fintech, which is the only country that has been doing so. This being also some countries such as Colombia that have been promoting sandbox in order to to introduce fintech solutions. But I would say in general, we are lacking of regulation to promote platforms. For instance, also Uber, the card platform, they have faced a lot of lawsuits in different countries, such as Costa Rica, Colombia. They left actually Colombia 1 year ago. Now they're back, but using or providing different kind of services. Because there is no regulation about the use of these technological platforms, and there is a lot of questions regarding taxes and incorporation and consumer protection as well, and competition law. So this is technology companies are facing problems in the region due to this lack of regulation. Concerning data protection, I would say most of the Latin American countries have issued a law regarding the data protection, and this also has been helping the security over the use of data. For instance, the last country to promote a law in this topic was Panama, and nowadays there is a discussion whether we have to upgrade our data laws protections to meet the standards of the European Union, to the GDPR. So this is the situation right now regarding data. We haven't issued any policy of hosting the personal data in Latin American countries, such as India did and Australia also did. We haven't regulated in that manner regarding the use of data. So basically, this means that the data can be hosted in different servers among the globe. And so this is also important to know. And also the different countries have been promoting incubator centers, which works a little bit different from here, from India. As I have been seeing so far, it is a policy of India to promote incubators regarding different or specific types of businesses. In Latin America, incubator centers work with all kinds of companies. So you can see a fintech company together with health companies or mobile companies all together in an incubator center. So they work a little bit different in Latin America. Also, we have seen some unicorns in Latin America, such as these companies, Mobile, iFood, Nubank, Rappi, 99, that has been raising significant amount of money and a lot of X to the investors. And regarding the labor force, we see a high rotation, and this is due because there is lack of people, of professionals, people who can take the. So, for instance, let me say it again. So, there is a company who is hiring, so let's say a software engineer, and if the next day a different company is attracting this employee because they are offering a higher amount of money, this employee is very willing to switch. So we see among the companies high rotation, and this is due because of the lack of people training in different skills. So far we see this phenomenon going on in Latin America.
Do you have a lot of labor law related cases in Latin America? Labor and employment law cases, is it a common thing or is it rare?
No, it is very common. And I would say that in all Latin America, it is very common. We have created a lot of courts regarding labor protection. And usually all lawsuits, most of the lawsuits that are brought by the employee are won by him. So because there are very protective laws in Latin America. There is one discussion that I will issue later, which is regarding the stock options plan from the companies to attract employees. And so far, the government has not regulated this issue, so is not to be considered part of the salary. So this is something good that is happening in Latin America because of lack of regulation.
Okay.
But yeah, answering your questions, there is a lot of protection and laws, and especially regarding the salary. So if the employee has to meet has to pay some amount of money regarding social security, and this is also common in all Latin American countries, which makes the salary a little bit more higher than you will see here in India, for instance. This slide shows the names of actors, key actors, seed funding, which mainly comes from the governments and also some other financial institutions of investors, angels. We see a growth of angel investment in the region in the last years. Also VCs and corporate VCs as well are doing their part of the business as well. So right now, in general, I would say to end with this part, there is a growth of Latin American startups. There is a growth of investments in different kinds in these companies, and using this transitional period that we're facing, so there is a really good opportunity to get in before before the environment or the ecosystem grows more, because some companies are using this lack of regulation to promote their businesses in the manner that they want. So this can also be a good opportunity for investors and to startups. So in general, this is the conclusion of this part. Chile has a governmental policy which is called Startup Chile, and they provide different financial resources to startups, and also if there are some foreign employees who wants to join a startup in Chile, they get a preferential treatment regarding immigration benefits permits. So for instance, there is Indian person who wants to join a startup in Chile, they can get easily a visa to work with a startup. So this is something important to keep in mind. Argentina is a country where a lot of
I know a few
startups are
people,
growing.
I know a few Indian startups who joined Startup Chile. They ran a program in India for Indian startups, and some of the startups went for the Startup Chile program.
Yeah,
So
you're right. I mean, there are a lot.
I also want to
Sure.
know if do you see any Indian investors investing in Latin America in your experience?
Yeah, there have been some investments, especially regarding Brazil in the iFood tech industry. So health industry and food security companies or startups are receiving some investment from India, but these investments has been made throughout Latin American counterparts. So like a VC fund, a Brazilian VC fund together with a VC fund from India. So yeah, it's not very common outside of Brazil, but I will suggest that there is a growing concern of investments from all over the
There's
world.
future opportunity in this.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Especially in Chile and Argentina also, because the lack of employment in Argentina is very high. I would say also the inflation in Argentina is 50% each year, which is really crazy. So because of this economical situation, there are a lot of people who are trying to become entrepreneurs and to create different solutions to solve different social problems. But the problem again is a lack of investments. Peru is also a country very active in the startup ecosystem. They are also promoting different policies to attract new companies, and to provide especially solutions to their specific needs regarding education, regarding financial inclusion. And Peru itself is also a big market in Latin America, and they have a trade agreements with more than 20 countries all over Latin America. So Peru is also a very interesting country. Colombia is a country whose policy is based on the way we call the orange economy. So the government is promoting this kind of startups in these fields. And they also have been promoting sandboxes, especially for fintech companies, so startups. They're providing different legal frameworks so the companies can develop their ideas, working together with financial institutions also another governmental institutions in order to create solutions. And also Colombia is a country that they have been promoting the crowdfunding. It's one of the few countries who actually they issue a regulation regarding crowdfunding, and they are allowing this source of financing. So this is also creating security among investors and startups. In the case of Brazil, Sao Paulo is by far the leading. They're receiving a lot of investments and creating a lot of opportunities. Google um, also created a center over there to promote the startups, and different multinational companies are also based in Sao Paulo. So this is an important market to look at. Guatemala, they created 2 years ago something that we call Parque Tech, which is a special. Let's say this is a small park where investors meet startups and universities all working together. So it's a very specific in a very specific location of Guatemala City. They are joint efforts to attract investors and startups with different
May I
solutions. So
ask you one
Guatemala is also a
question?
country. Sure.
Yeah, what is the minimum requirement for the startup investment, minimum investment?
There is not minimal requirement, at least by law. It's only so that you can negotiate with the startup itself. So there is no minimal amount of investments. But usually, I would say that I mean, if we compare, we see the transactional review of these investments. They are not. They are applying for at least 20-25% of the stock of the company. So usually, the sums of investments around around 200 investments amount over there in Latin
Yeah.
America in general.
Uh,
Also, Costa Rica, we are creating something we call city tech or ciudad tech. Yeah.
Yeah, please go ahead. Please, Willy, go ahead, please. Willy, please proceed.
I don't know if there is any question.
Willy, we cannot hear you. Suddenly it was working fine, but now there is really bad internet. We can't hear you. Hi, Willy. Can you please speak? You are back. Please, we should be able to hear you. Please speak.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah, we can
All
hear you,
right.
but still the internet is very poor.
All right. So I will share the presentation again.
Yeah, yeah.
Can all can you see the presentation now?
Yes, we can. We can see.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, I was saying that in Mexico they're promoting in Guadalajara a very interesting ecosystem over there with more than 80,000 IT workers, and I'm aware also that many workers are from India, and also Mexico are promoting different states such as Baja California and Querétaro, which are states over there. They are promoting as well the startup environment. So regarding which industries are more common in Latin America related to startups, fintech by large, I'm sorry, there's a misspelling. Fintech by large is it's about 25%, so 1 out of 4 um, startup companies in Latin America are providing fintech solutions. And this is because there is a need of financial inclusion among Latin American countries, and this is something very peculiar about our market. The second biggest industry is logistics and distribution. About 10% of the companies are related with this industry. then transportation, then agri-tech, which is also a very important future market for Latin America, for Africa, from Asia in general. And then there are some other sort of industries, SaaS solutions, e-commerce, education tech, bio and health tech, especially in Brazil, marketplace as well. So this is the overview of what are the main businesses of startups in the region of in Latin America.
Okay, great. That's very helpful.
And as I can see that there are some important opportunities to create companies related to agri-tech and iFood, not only in Brazil, but also in different countries, especially Argentina, which is a country that has been traditionally involved in agriculture solutions, and I would say also many of the Latin American countries. So there is a huge opportunity of investment and create solutions related with agriculture and tech. Security and infrastructure is also a niche that has not been exploited so far, and a lot of companies, because I've been talking to the investors and also different solution providers, that they told me that they need the startups in these fields. Cybersecurity is also a growing up concerns. A lot of cybersecurity companies are now established in Costa Rica, providing services to the U.S. market. Many Indian also workers over there, and I believe the cybersecurity solutions is also growing on concern, because as long as the companies are aware of the problems that cybersecurity are facing, challenges that cybersecurity is providing to their businesses. Then, as growing on market is regarding clean energies. So solutions regarding to transportation and the use of clean energies to um, countries such as Costa Rica, such as Argentina, Brazil, Peru, as well, Colombia. They are issuing different policies to promote the use of clean energies, because this is according to the national goals. And so in the way that some solutions can be created in this industry, I guess also is an important niche over there. Also, there are a lot of national resources that can be used to promote solutions. Education, there are not so many platforms regarding to education in general. I have seen a lot of startups here in India working in this field. So I think this is also it is a good opportunity in the market, in Latin American market, to provide solutions regarding education. For instance, to learn English and other languages. This is also important in the market. Um, Also, finally, tourism. Most of Latin American countries are very well known for tourism, and their economy is relied in a very significant part in this industry. So, in the way that some startups can create solutions to promote tourism and to facilitate tourism in the region, I would say this is also a big opportunity over there. And finally, as companies and governments are being aware about artificial intelligence and Internet of Things, and the solutions that they can provide, um, there are more opportunities every day in these industries that I will suggest to explore over there. Uh, and finally, this part regarding the market needs, also funding in the first place, market expansion. So again, Latin American startups are very intra-regional market, and they need to expand to different markets, such as North American markets, European markets, and Asian markets in general. There is not there is lack of information regarding Asian markets. For instance, we are very well known about the procedures and the conditions to invest in or to establish a company in the US or some countries in Europe, but there is not a lot of knowledge about how to establish a company in India or in China, for instance, or Japan, Korea, Singapore. So I will suggest that in the way that we can connect investors of startups among the continents. This is also, and the way that we can provide solutions to this expansion, Latin American startups will be very interested to have a counterpart here in this part of the world. Qualified labor force. Every day we are the university are skills in the curriculums. However, right now we're facing a problem of we need more qualified labor force. So in the way that India and our countries can provide this qualified labor force, I think there is a good opportunity over there. And finally, infrastructure, especially to technological infrastructures and solutions, there is a need for that in Latin American markets in general. And regarding the government benefits that I was mentioning before, so there are some taxes exemptions. So for instance, if you are creating your own startup and you are hiring the person for the first time and you are paying half of the tax that will correspond in according to your income, or they are delaying the payment of the tax for up to 2 or 3 years in some countries. So there are benefits regarding tax exemptions in, I would say, most of Latin American countries. Also regarding social security, for instance, in Guatemala, if you hire like 3 employees, you are not required to pay the social security, which is, and also in Costa Rica, for instance, now they are reducing the amount of money that investor or the company has to pay regarding these social security taxes. Also, the different governments are providing bank loans or collateral guarantee to the investors, so they can get a collateral, they can get an investment easily. And also the opportunity to create some boxes over there, as I mentioned before, in Colombia, especially in other countries as well, and visa exemption requirements in different countries such as Chile, and that I was addressing before. So now that I gave a general overview about how is the startup environment and regulations in general, I would like to address some legal aspects so you can have a better perspective of what are the main legal concerns for a company to establish in the region. And I will focus especially in Central America. I will compare for this purpose Costa Rica, Guatemala, Panama, and Mexico. And of course, if you will need more information about other countries, I can provide later the information. But this is an overview that so you can have a better idea how long it will take to create a company, for instance. So regarding incorporation, once you have all the data, in Costa Rica, it takes 1 day to create a company. In Guatemala, it takes between 10 and 15 days. Panama is 4 days. And Mexico is between 1 and 2 and 3 weeks. So it has different timelines. But in general, I would say that in 2 weeks, no more than 2 weeks, you are able to have a corporation over there and to have a social security number and to have also a tax registration number so you can start doing businesses right away. Regarding the tax system, this is very, I mean, all the items that I'm going to address are very common to all Latin American countries. So they might change the number, but the substance or the item itself are basically the same. So income tax is up to 30%, 25% in some countries, as you can see in this chart. But there's a case, for instance, of Guatemala, and they have a policy if the company is related to services, the tax will be up to 7%, which is really very, very low. And if the company is related to goods, so the income tax is up to 25%. So saying that a lot of companies related to services, which is also part of this new era of startups, they are incorporating themselves in Guatemala because of the low tax requirement that the government is imposing over these companies. Regarding dividend taxes, is between, for instance, Guatemala is 5%. So whenever there is a profit and this profit is paid to the founder or to the stockholder. Guatemala is 5%, Costa Rica is 15%, Panama is 10%, and as well in Mexico. Regarding the IBT tax is also varies from 7% in Panama to 13% in
What
Costa
is
Rica
IBT?
and Mexico as well. And it's taxes on sales. So basically,
It's a value-added
when you have a sale of any kind, yeah,
value-added tax. So we
exactly,
have okay.
exactly.
Okay, proceed.
And the final, sorry. Okay. And finally, regarding the withholding taxes to our foreign investors, so there are different percentage of taxes. At least Costa Rica and Guatemala is 15%. And Panama is half of the rent. So if, for instance, if the rent is 25%, it will be 12.5% of withholding tax. And in the case of Mexico, it's 10% tax. But if they have a trade agreement with the country to avoid double taxation, so there might be some exemptions to pay this tax. Regarding opening a bank account, for instance, it also takes between 2 or 3 days in most of the countries. But Panama, which is an important, very relevant case because many companies used to incorporate in Panama because of the fiscal benefits that they have. And after the Panama Papers scandal, as you all might be aware, the government started to impose a lot of restrictions to foreigners to open a bank account. So now it takes between 2 weeks and 1 month, and you have to, and there is a lot of paperwork that you have to do in order to open a bank account in Panama. Let's check. And also addressing the social security, which I'm very aware this is very different from India, but in Latin American countries, this is something very important. And it's a really huge burden for the employer. So for instance, in Costa Rica, the employer has to pay that 25% extra of the total amount of salary as a tax regarding social security. And the worker has to pay 10% of its own salary. In Guatemala is a lesser amount. Panama, as you can see, is 13.75%. And Mexico has the lowest amount of tax regarding Social Security. So this means, let's say an example, so you pay to an employee 10,000 rupees per month. So in Costa Rica, the employee has to pay 2,500 rupees per month extra to the Social Security, and this is a tax that every company has to pay if they want to incorporate in Latin America. Also, regarding the employee stock option plan that I was mentioning before, in all the countries, this is not to be considered part of the salary. So this is something that we can say is an extra solution to attract employees. And it's only subject to capital gains. So this means we don't have to pay taxes while we hold the option, only when there is a capital gain. So we have to pay the respective tax, but not before. So this is also important to attract investors in these areas. Regarding intellectual property protection and registration, trademark, it will take between 3, 4, 6 months in general, and on average to get the protection from the different governments. And regarding the patent protection, it will take between 4 and 6 years, as you can see. So this is also very, very common in Latin America. And finally, regarding arbitration, so it is very common in Latin America to use arbitration to solve disputes. So instead of going to the judicial branch, we use private solutions of arbitration in general. So the award will take between 1 to 2 years. Some countries such as Panama is 6 months to 1 year, and Mexico is 1.5 years in average. But after that, after we got the award, there is a possibility to bring a lawsuit in to get the judicial review, and this might take up to 2 years in order to have a final resolution. So I would say that if there is any controversy between investors and the startup, or between the founders themselves, or whatever, with a contractor, etc. So on average, a final solution to be made, it will take around 4 years. Um, but there are all other countries such as El Salvador who is promoting arbitration in up to 90 days. So we can also create a different a scheme to bring solutions regarding the judicial review in Latin America. And that's actually what I want to go now is I will propose two different investment vehicles that are currently very well used in Latin America to promote investments over there. So first, of course, the first way is to create a company or to have an agency. It could be also throughout the mergers and acquisition. This is very common in Latin America. Also, another second vehicle is the trust, and we call it fideicomisos. This is very similar to the trust, Anglo-American trust legal instrument. So it's very similar, and we have a lot of regulation regarding the duties of the trustee and the duties from the parties. Sorry. So it is a very well-known figure over there. Also, of course, joint ventures, partnerships in association, which is a special legal vehicle that is being used in Mexico. And this partnership in association means that we get a stock from the company, but we are not stockholders. So it's kind of it is kind of intermediate between a partnership and an M&A. So this is something very important, because even when you are holding part of the stock from the company, if there is any liability, you will have no any legal responsibility. So this is very used legal instrument in Mexico, and of course among contracts. So as I said before, I would like to address two different schemes that we are using right now, and to do the investments in the region. So for instance, let's say we create a company in Guatemala because we are a startup who is providing a fintech solution. And as we saw before, in Panama, they have only 7% taxes for services. So we can create a company in Guatemala, and then we can have a subsidiary, let's say in Costa Rica, in El Salvador, in Brazil, wherever country you choose, and which also will take only 2 weeks to incorporate. And whenever there is a dividend tax from Guatemala to the outside, they will pay only 5% of taxes, which is very convenient to the investors and to the stockholders. And also there are many different online regional banks that we can use to transfer money from one place to the other. And also, let's say if we don't want to use Guatemala law because we're not confident on that, and we want to create a company, and we want to make an investment contract between a Guatemalan company. We want the arbitration to be based in El Salvador, because El Salvador takes 90 days to solve a dispute, which is very fast. So we can do that. And also we can apply the law of Costa Rica, we can apply the law of Delaware law, or we can apply the law of whatever jurisdiction we choose. So this is something that is currently very well used in Latin America, to have to use the best thing of each country. So in this case, Guatemala, because we pay lower taxes. We use arbitration in El Salvador because it's very fast, and we use the law of a country that we feel more confident with the judicial system, and also we can create subsidiaries among different countries. And also it is important to mention that most of the Latin American countries we use a territorial tax system. This means that if you are doing an investment in Guatemala and you have a subsidiary in Costa Rica or in Brazil and Mexico, all the revenues that this company are producing in the respective countries, so let's say Mexico, Costa Rica, and Brazil, are not subject to the nationality of the investors. So they only will pay taxes in the country that they're doing business, and we don't follow the global tax system. So this is important to keep in mind. And of course, a lot of companies use this territorial tax system to create different subsidiaries in different countries. And since they are not binded to pay taxes according to the nationality of the investors, it is very convenient. A second instrument that can be used is to open a trustee or to create a trust. So let's say in this example that there is an Indian investor, or Indian startup, and they transfer the money to a Panama bank account. And so in this case, the trustee will be the one who will be responsible for opening a bank account. So it will not be the Indian investor itself. It will be among a contract, a trustee who will be opening the bank account. And this trustee will open a different bank account in country A, let's say Guatemala, and country B, let's say Brazil. So this is also very used because it will provide like privacy to the investors, and also because of the tax consequences. And if for any reason you don't want to, the investors don't want to appear in doing the investments, or for any other reason that it can be used, the trustee can take this role of, according to the contract, following the instructions that has been given to him, and he will open the bank account and he will do the investments according to the amounts that has been previously agreed with investors. So this is also a second legal instrument that can be used in order to attract foreign investments over there. So as a conclusion, yeah.
Please proceed.
Okay. So as a conclusion, I will say that there is an important, there is a good opportunity to invest in Latin America in general. There are a lot of different startups. I mean, the number grows about 30% each year in all the countries. So what they need is probably a counterpart that has more knowledge or have different capabilities, or they have different access to financial instruments. And the countries itself, they're promoting the startups. So it is policy, it's a general policy to attract the skills, knowledge, finance, and to provide different grants from the government in order that the startups can grow. There are a lot of industries that the startups are not covering right now. They're mainly focused in fintech, but as you saw before in the chart, there are different industries that can be implemented. And also,
really, we are going to close the session soon, but I have a few quick questions. So do you think it is possible for Indian lawyers to practice there, or are there law firms that would hire India specialized lawyers? Or have you ever seen, do you have any experience of that?
Okay, I haven't seen that so far, and but I would suggest that this is because there is not so much knowledge among the parties. So so I guess in the way that we can create connections and we can create trade and investments opportunities, I'm pretty sure that there will be opportunity for Indian lawyers to practice in Latin American markets.
Do you have foreign law firms in Latin America? Are there foreign law firms already, like US law firms, UK law firms present in Latin America?
Yeah, there are many foreign law firms in Latin America, especially in Chile, Brazil, Mexico, Argentina,
No.
Ecuador as well, Costa
So it
Rica
is
as well.
possible
So
for
yeah,
Indian law firm to open maybe branches in Latin America.
yeah, it is very possible, and as I said before, it is a market that is growing. So it's a good chance to go right now before everyone else is going.
Yeah. Okay. And in your experience, do you think that there are some specializations that Indian law firms may have that they can help? I mean, is there any intergovernment work happening currently in your experience, or intergovernment
Yeah,
exchange, inter law firm exchange? Do you experience any of that?
yeah, I guess in general, like relating to trade is something very important. But now with the technologies, I mean, with the use of technology, so in the way that that lawyers can have skills in these fields, data protection, cybersecurity, fintech in general, and there is a lack of knowledge about these skills among Latin American lawyers. So I would suggest in the way that the lawyers here can provide these solutions to companies over there and to provide a broader scope of knowledge, they will succeed in the market, because this is something that is not taken seriously by some law firms, which are very traditional in the way they make businesses. So they might be left behind.
I have another question. Like in your experience, do you think there is opportunity for Indian lawyers to develop business there, or how can they get started if they want to explore the Latin American market, they want to know more about Latin America? How can they begin?
Yeah, I will say by join like a joint venture. So join a local law firm or a partner over there. That's the best way to do so, and that's how the experience so far has been made for different law firms from Europe and from the United States as well. So I guess joining Latin American counterpart will be the best way also to get more into the market. It is a market where the language itself is very significant. So knowing Spanish or Portuguese it is important.
Yeah.
But nowadays, of course, the English transactions, almost most of the documents that we draft every day that are based in English. So of course, is something that can be used.
Yeah, so perhaps it is possible to, create a best friend farm relationship with some Latin American firms and start exploring relationships and, create a friendship first and explore how Indian law firms can help Latin American law firms and vice versa. And, exchange knowledge and exchange of opportunities, exchange of, maybe, some kind of secondment programs, etc. So begin a relationship may be a good idea, right?
That's true. That's true. And also we are, as a law firm that I represent in this case in Latin America, we are very open to hear opportunities and to provide solutions with counterparts here in India. And if you're interested to get more about the law firm or to have the opportunity to do an internship of whatever you're looking for, so we're very open to hear opportunities from you.
Right, right. So, is there any opportunity that you can think of right now for Indian lawyers in Latin America?
Yeah, I think in the way that you can, if you can provide legal solutions regarding technology, law and technology in general, this is some niche that has not been explored that much yet, and every day we see a lot of U.S. companies and European companies trying to find lawyers who are actually specialized in these areas. So data protection, cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, IoT in general. So you have the skills in these fields. Definitely, you will find a way to enter the Latin American market.
Understood. Okay, great. So, thank you very much, Willy, for your participation and sharing so much
You're
information
welcome.
and updating our people, our students and other lawyers who joined today. And thank you everybody for joining us and being part of this session. Uh, and Willy, I hope your trip in India is very successful and
Thank you.
your talk today and you connecting with Indian lawyers today leads to great exchange between the legal fraternities in both the countries. And so
Yeah.
there are some questions. Are there any LLM opportunities in Latin America? Can Indians go and study in Latin America? One language barrier would be one problem. Spanish or Portuguese knowledge would be required. So sorry, Willy can say
For
something.
instance,
And also,
yeah, actually, for instance,
yeah, please proceed.
I'm sorry. Regarding the first question, I will address that. For instance, the first LLM that I did it with the University of Chile and Washington College of Law, and it was based in Santiago of Chile and Washington DC, and this LLM was taught in English. So even though we were some part of the program in Santiago, the program itself was in English. So you can study in different countries even though you don't speak Spanish. For instance, this LLM that I took.
Yes. Okay, and if you can talk a little about, so one of our students have pointed out that in India, established companies are looking for law firm who can register their IPs in Mexico and neighboring countries. So if Indian lawyers are looking to work with a reliable partner in Latin America, how can they go about identifying, partner law firms to partner with?
Yeah. Well, there is, there is a lot of information on the internet about the different law firms providing these kind of solutions. But I mean, this is an advertisement, but we do this job. So in case that we can help, help you with the IP registration, we do these jobs in all countries in Latin America. So even though we are not based in Mexico itself, we have a counterpart in Mexico, and each country in Latin America we have a counterpart. So we will help you with the registration in the countries that you need it.
Excellent. So thank you so much. We are going to end the session here because I know there are more questions, but we really need to end it here. We are already 15 minutes past the timeline. So thank you very much, Willy, for joining us
You're
and
welcome.
this information with us. And hope to see you again soon. And have a great time, everybody. Have a great week. All the best.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.